Take a minute and think about the history lessons you've learned that focus on power in America. You're likely thinking about white men who we imagine run this country. Of course, America is predominantly full of white males, and this is not meant to take away from the things that they've done for this country. But our public memory makes us believe that they're the face of our country. This is because that's all we've ever been made out to believe. We only know certain aspects of history because of public memory. What is public memory, you may ask? According to the Sage Encyclopedia of Communication Research Methods, public memory refers to the ongoing choices made when a group of people, typically a nation, remembers a particular part of its history, highlights that part of history within a container available for everyone to experience, and locates that container within a social, cultural, and political context. Public memory through history has created this image in our brains that white men are at the top, while women, Blacks, Hispanics, and poverty-stricken persons are at the bottom. Hamilton, an American musical, constructs a twist on our public memory of history, causing viewers to recognize just how greatly media influences our public memory through the use of historical accuracies, race casting, and rap, hip-hop, and R&B. Before continuing, I would like to give some background on the Hamilton musical. The production was created by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who became inspired to create the phenomenon after reading Alexander Hamilton's biography by Ron Chernow. Manuel was the playwright, lyricist, and composer, and he even played the lead role of Hamilton. The musical tells the story of forgotten founding father Alexander Hamilton, specifically his ascent out of poverty and into power. If you haven't seen Hamilton, you may be asking yourself, what's the big deal about this story? It's nothing history hasn't taught us. What makes it so popular? The musical has become extremely popular, most notably because, in Lin-Manuel Miranda's words, it's a story of America then, told by America now. More than 2.6 million people have seen Hamilton on Broadway, and as of 2019, the production has grossed more than $500 million. Now, being 2020, it's safe to say that number has definitely grown in a year. The musical also received a record-breaking 16 Tony nominations, winning 12 of its possible 13 categories, one of them being the coveted Best Musical. In addition, the musical also won a Grammy and a Pulitzer Prize. More recently, it was added onto Disney+, causing the popularity of the phenomenon to grow even more. To continue, the production consisted of historical accuracies which were necessary in telling the life story of Hamilton and all the events that took place when he was alive. The historical accuracies used force us to rethink our public memory of events that took place throughout the 1700s, as we were taught that the Founding Fathers shaped the nation into what it is today. This will be touched upon more as I talk about race and casting, but the first thing that most viewers realize, which is not historically accurate in the production, was the use of Black and Hispanic actors playing the white Founding Fathers. This causes our public memory to revisit who the Founding Fathers are and to recognize what we learned about them, but to understand how Hamilton did this differently without disrespecting the history they made throughout their time. Historically accurate events that took place on stage were the Battle of Yorktown, as well as the American Revolution, all of which were depicted on stage through dramatizations and theatrical, which again play with our public memory. Although Hamilton the musical teaches us history, it is still a production that acquires drama in order to engage the audience and to keep the production entertaining. Without the dramatizations of the musical, it would feel similar to simply sitting in a history classroom. An example of an event that was played out to be more dramatic in the show was when Hamilton endorsed Thomas Jefferson for president. The musical made it so that Hamilton's opinion decided the presidential election, meaning his endorsement was the sole reason that Jefferson became the next president. Hamilton did actually endorse Jefferson in real life, but this was never the deciding factor for his presidency. The dramatized history that the musical provided causes our public memory to look at historical events through a different lens. Just because it's created to be dramatic doesn't mean that it takes away from the production as a whole or makes it any less historical. Public memory has caused the nation to understand that events have happened in a specific manner, yet the dramatics of Hamilton put a twist on said events, and somehow we understand them even stronger and even enjoy learning about them up on stage rather than reading a textbook. As I've stated previously, we have only ever learned that the founding fathers are white males, which of course is true, but it's never been presented to us in any other form. This is where Lin-Manuel Miranda completely changed that area of history. As the founding fathers were making history in the 1700s, this was also the time where they owned slaves. Hamilton did not mention slavery too much, but if slaves were to be casted in this show, our public memory would cause us to envision Black actors to play them, as opposed to the role of the founding fathers, because that's all our public memory has ever known. The diverse casting of Hamilton causes the greatest turn on our public memory because the powerful white roles are not being presented to us through white bodies, but rather in Black, Hispanic, and Asian bodies. In order to further understand how our public memory depicts race and casting in Hamilton, I'm going to analyze the character of George Washington, played by Christopher Jackson. Jackson's young, handsome, and bald black head, rather than Washington's wigged white one, challenges the audience's familiarity with this costume and its famous wearer, stated Shannon Walsh. The world knows George Washington as America's first president from 1789 to 1797. He was also a military general, statesman, and founding father. Washington is known to be white, so then why was he casted by a Black actor when that doesn't align with history? Primarily, our public memory would not allow us to envision any other person to be George Washington if they weren't an old, white-wigged man. By casting George Washington as a Black male, we are able to acknowledge his race, yet somehow we don't allow that to be all that he's recognized for, because that isn't the sole reason why he's playing the role of America's first presidential leader. By seeing George Washington as a Black male, that doesn't erase any of his history, and that is what our public memory begins to understand. Just because the skin colors may not match doesn't mean that his story is in any sense inaccurate. This is just what our public memory has always caused us to believe, and the cast of this production changes that. To continue, we recognize that Hamilton does not consist of just show tunes, but rap, hip-hop, and R&B as well. This is where media influences public memory. In today's generation, the top of the music charts consist of these three music genres. Throughout the production, rap is used when intense battles are occurring, R&B is used during soulful, heartfelt portions of the show, and hip-hop is used in the free-spirited, fun areas of the production. The use of these musical genres strengthen the production as it creates the story to be more modern, which again twists our public memory as this is supposed to be about history. Yet the music involved in it tells the modernized story of America in the 1700s. These decisions of music cause the audience to be able to feel the raw emotions pouring from each character, as our public memory has never really allowed us to consider how these American icons felt throughout their time in history. We learn the stories, yet we never recognize the feelings that existed along with them, because we just know them as achieving this or failing at that. We never acknowledge any sadness or even happiness that may have existed in these historical individual lives. Yet the use of rap, hip-hop, and R&B allow us to connect with their emotions and to understand the history of them more thoroughly. To conclude, Hamilton, an American musical, twists our public memory, causing us to recognize how much we allow media to influence our understanding of history through the use of historical accuracy, race casting, rap, hip-hop, and R&B as used throughout the production. Public memory may make you feel like there's only one right way to understand an event, but don't be afraid to rethink this, as you have the ability to create history the same way that Lin-Manuel Miranda did in his making of Hamilton the musical. Thank you.